Okay, this is going to be a quick video about how to set up raid tracking debuffs in WeakAuras. This is something I think is extremely valuable, especially when you're progressing on fights, to be able to make changes in the middle of an attempt, or between wipes anyways. So I'll show you my process and also show you what you can do to set yourself up for success here, depending on how you want to do it. So open up WeakAuras/WA. How all of this exactly comes together is going to be a little bit up to you, but what I like to do is make a dynamic group. Click dynamic group up there. I'll say raid debuffs test. This is just a test, and then just throw an icon in there to start. And then I'm going to grab my raid debuffs and click on my loads there so they show up. I like to have them right above my frames as a healer, so right about there. So stuff will pop up there and I'll be able to see it because I'm already going to be looking at my frames anyway. So there's that. We have our icon here. The best thing to do, I think, is to get a single icon set up as good as you can, and then you just duplicate it. So we're going to try to do that here. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger, so I'm on the display tab, position, change this to 75. And a lot of this stuff is very subjective, so it's whatever you want to do. So position, the text, I'm going to say, change my text to something. There's a lot of customization, so it's in the corner. Go to the anchors. I'm going to anchor it to the bottom edge, like that. A little bigger. Looks pretty good. So play around with that. I like to have little settings there, and then you can come up here and just click show cooldown. You'll get some, by default, some cool stuff coming in. I generally change my cooldown text, so I'll hide that, and then if you come down here, I'll add a new text element, and by default, see, it's doing %P, which is progress, so that shows you the timer. Gives you a little more control over how it looks. So I'm going to rip the precision off here so that I don't see milliseconds. And let's bump up that size. And then maybe I'll offset that a little bit. Again, very much up to you. So we'll try that. Okay. So what I'm going to do here for now is go into trigger, and just for testing, I'm going to use regrowth or rejuvenation. So I like to use the spell ID, so you can see it says spell ID is 774. So I'll click exact spell ID 774. You can type in the name, but you might get a collision on something that you don't actually care to track. And right now, this is obviously a player buff, but you'd choose debuff for an actual thing. So let's see what that looks like. Just close that out. And there you go. So I immediately have it pop up that says it's counting down the time. It says it's bad, you know, so that would be my notification to do something. Let's make that a little bit better now. So we'll go to actions. I'm going to play a sound on show. You get a bunch by default with, I think, well, depending on what add-ons you have is what's going to be here. You can also record your own custom sounds, as I've done in the past, for different things. I like, you can choose whatever you want, obviously. I like the BAM. I think it's really succinct, it's short, and it's noticeable.
Aggro.
Air horn's popular. It's kind of a, I mean, I think that's a little much personally, but I like BAM. I'm a huge fan of BAM. I also like Bite for little things.
Bam!
But anyway, whatever you want to do. So I'll go with BAM. And I'm going to give it a little animation too. So we'll go to the main animation preset. I generally like pulse. It's sort of subtle.
BAM!
So you get the audio cue, which grabs your attention. It's pulsing, which helps focus there, and it pops up immediately. So you know, hey, I need to do something right now, and it's counting down to show me when that thing is going to go off or whatever it might be. Other cool things you can do, you can add the glow. So, I mean, that's a little much for me. Pixel glow is kind of cool. I mean, there's a lot of options depending on what you want. Yeah, maybe make it a little thicker. It's really whatever you want to do. That looks kind of cool, actually.
BAM!
So that's pretty noticeable. So let's say that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to duplicate this. Test 2 is fine. And you see that it goes down. That's not really what I want. I want it to go sideways. So I'll click at the top level of raid debuff test, go to the group, and I want it to grow left. There we go. And then I'll reposition this. That looks pretty good. And I think I want a little bit more space between them. That's good. And then I'm going to change this one to regrowth. So this is 8936.
BAM!
And then maybe I'll do change the sound of the bite. So now the cool thing about this is you're just going to have a growing list of things that are really important. So rejuve.
BAM!
And then something else comes up, regrowth, bam. You got to deal with it. You have two things to deal with. Rejuve goes away, you still have this one. You could do this for as many as you want. Obviously, the most important thing is knowing exactly what the most important things to track are, and you don't want to overwhelm yourself with too many things. So a great example would be like encroaching shadows on Vexiona. You want to know when you have that debuff. Put that up here. It'll alert you. You need to run out and drop your pool. One other thing that I'll mention is under the load category, load tab. You can tailor these things specific to encounters. So let's say this is for, you know, Vexiona shadows test, whatever. You know, I would name it with what the actual debuff name is, and then you come down here to encounter ID. If you hover over this, you'll notice it gives you the current raid tiers. So in Nyalotha, Vexiona is 2336. So you would put that in here. And now that thing is only going to load. It's not going to work now. It's only going to load when you're actually engaged against Vexiona. So that keeps your memory footprint down. So that's definitely something I would recommend. Take that off because it won't show. But so what you can do is go through the fights, go through the dungeon journal, whatever else, figure out what the most important things are, and then you can pull them up on, for instance, Wowhead. So this is the unstable Vita mechanic on Raden. You just find the spell, and then if you look in the URL, this is your spell ID right here, 306257. So that becomes your trigger right here, spell ID, as a debuff. And then you're good to go.
BAM!
And that, like you said, that's super simple. We've taken a few minutes to set it up, but now that it's set up, you come in here, you just duplicate, and you're on, you know, new boss mechanic. Whatever it is, figure out the spell ID, or you can just grab the name. If you don't know what it is. And So it's showing that it matched 8 things, so you're going to get more than you might intend, which is why it's good to use the load, keep it as restrictive as possible. But for testing, it doesn't matter. Now
Bam.
I have 3. 1, 2, 3. And it cascades, so it'll sort them. So that's a quick look. This is, I think, imperative when you're talking about progression rating. It's knowing how to do something like this, whether it's with WeakAuras or a Tell Me When or Need to Know or whatever add-on you like. But there you go. So set up some WeakAuras. Become a better raider. See ya.